Hi guys, it's Colette. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to do a video on how to look after yourself as an empath, self-care for empaths, particularly those that are stressed out or done in or exhausted. A lot of us are at the moment, so I have my way of looking at it. I know it might not be the same as others, and there might be things that you want to add on in the comments, and feel free to do so. I've also got a little story of my own that I'll let you hear at the end, and I'd like you to fill in whether you think it's being empathic or whether it was clairsentience or clairvoyance. But I'll leave that till later. Also, there's a playlist because I'm just enjoying doing playlists with things at the moment. This one is music, and you please add yours. Thank you to those who added on songs and films at the last self-care one. I really enjoyed going and listening to them, so please do the same, because I do go on and then listen to them, and I've had a few more songs since then that I've taken on board as being something I would want in my own sort of list. So anyway, please subscribe, do the things you're meant to, and please hit the notification bell, because that way if I'm putting photographs or written work up on the community tab, you should get notice that it's going up. But if you've not hit that bell and subscribed, I don't think you do. So this video is called Self-Care for Stressed Empaths, 10 tips plus a playlist, and remember a wee story at the end. So the first one, self-care for empaths, the first tip is rest and sleep. Now, we all need rest and sleep, we know that, everybody does, but for an empath, there has to be so much more rest and so much more quality of sleep than a normal person, because every part of the empath day is a bit more difficult. Now, maybe I should say, the difference between a sensitive and an empath, because there is a difference, but you can be both. But sensitive people or sensitive sense the energy of others, they sense it out with them, and they can sense it and know what they're getting. Empaths actually feel the person's energy in their own aura or in their own body, so it becomes that much more intense and that much more potentially wonderful, but potentially destructive as well. So a sensitive may look at someone and sense that they've got a headache. An empath would look at them and then feel the headache in their own head. And I would say, to be a really good healer, you really are spot on if you're an empath. But again, I have my thoughts on that, because I had to stop my healing practice after a while, because I just was exhausted and done in, and obviously haven't protected myself enough over the years to not be taking on people's things. So also a sensitive would maybe look at someone and think they've lost someone and they're grieving, but an empath would actually look at a person and then feel the grief in their heart and in their whole being. So they're both wonderful things to be. It's just maybe the intensity, and one seems to be feeling out with themselves, whereas the empath is feeling within. So if you can imagine a normal day, people need rest and sleep. An empath, you're done in maybe halfway through the day if you don't know how to look after yourself, and if you don't have protections and things I'm going to mention in this. So let's go on with it. But please look at your rest and sleep patterns and be nice to yourself, because otherwise you'll just not be very good at all. Number 2 for me is crystals. Say no to crystals that open you up, like fluorite, labradorite, selenite, because you don't want to be very open and then walking about with, you know, a piece of fluorite round your neck or in your ears. That's just silly. You might like what they look like, but all the while they're going, okay? Say yes to blocking or absorbing crystals. Smoky quartz, amethyst, obsidian, smoky obsidian, not smoky obsidian. Oh, what's the one that's white and snowflake obsidian I really like, because it lets in what you need but blocks the rest. So say yes to blocking crystals and no to opening crystals if you're out and about and doing your own stuff. Obviously, if you're doing ritual work or healing or whatever, by all means, go for it with the open crystals. That could be very well part of your magnificent practice. So, right, 3, barriers and regulation. Now, by barriers, I'm talking about barriers as to how you live your life day by day, and the regulation as such. Empaths feel better when they've got some sort of barriers and control, a parameter to what they're doing. And I'm not sure why that is, but yes, there needs to be a feeling of spontaneity and also a bit of freedom. But for them to get through the day in general, there seems to be that they work better if there's certain patterns and certain barriers that, you know, well, they wouldn't do that, say, on a Friday because that place is too busy or whatever. So by barriers and regulation, I'm talking about not being so disorganized that you're doing this and you're sort of all over the place. There needs to be some sort of regulation and even tidiness to the empath's life. Otherwise, you know, something like really a messy house, they would just step into that room and be like, oh, and then turn and go back out. It's like that sense of the energy being a negative right away. So have a degree of tidiness, have a degree of regulation and barriers. Maybe I'm not bringing anything else in the house, I'm not buying another thing. Because when the empath becomes disorganized, that's when they buy things that they really don't need. They collect things. All of you out there with your little collections, put your hand up now. Whether it's crystals or magazines or whatever, you know what I'm talking about. There's this urge to gather, and really there comes a point when the gathering becomes clutter, and then the clutter becomes hoarding, and empaths can go there very easily, in my opinion. Now, number 4 is putting up a cocoon of protection around you. Now, I've done 2 videos on this, so I'm just going to put the links in the description box below. One is protection magic, and the other one is a protection meditation. So they're both similar but different. You may like one more than the other. So just remember that you do have to, when you're going out or you're going to a place that you feel there might be a lot of negative energy or just energy, then please use one of these techniques. Number 5, baths and showers, but not ordinary baths and showers. They could have oils, herbs, crystals in them. These things all help to soothe you, but also can be very good at flushing away negativity or things that are built up. I like quite pink quartz crystals in a wee muslin bag with lavender. Now that can go in the bath, but it also can be hung under the shower. So you don't need to have a bath for this. I know that we have disability, and sometimes people can only have showers on the channel, so just adapt to it. Also, I like rose oil and rose geranium oil, and obviously you can't have them directly on you if you're in the shower, but again, you could maybe have a few drops on the bottom of your shower so that the wafts up once the warm water hits it. Epsom salts as well if you can get in the bath, or even just a foot bath. But whatever, whether it's a shower or a bath, make it work for you. Make it cleanse, make it relax, and feel stronger and better and lighter when you come out of it. Now, number 6, say no to negative people. Now, workmates, spouse, family members, they're all difficult because you might not be able to say no to them, but in that situation, then if you can't say no, kind of make sure you've got your protections up and you cleanse generally. But if a person is negative, and it's a boss or a workmate, try and find a way of saying what you want from them, or that you feel awkward when they're coming at you that way, without angering them or whatever. But it's always a good thing to gently say to someone, I'm feeling a wee bit overwhelmed by the negativity. Could we talk about this another day, or things like that. If it's a spouse, just on at them and let them know that negativity, banging doors, upsets, continual moaning is not just, to you it's not just, I'm not feeling so good with that. It's literally you're feeling those whacks of energies. And if that's the case, ask your spouse or your partner to not do these things. And if they won't, maybe they don't care for you enough to change their behaviour, because you can't really change yours. Do you know what I mean? You can do certain things, but an empath's almost always an empath. And if they're not going to change their behaviour for you and it wrecks you, then hit the road, Jack. Don't come back. How many of you are singing the end of that? Hands up, let me know in the comments. Anyway, 7, meditation. Meditate for even 10 minutes a day, and it doesn't matter if you feel, I can't meditate. Shove on rain sounds, or sit quietly, or focus on your breathing, or put a crystal in your hand and focus on the crystal, or take a photograph that you love and focus on that. It's all about focusing on something else apart from your brain chugging over. It's a 10-minute relaxation, and you can do that in many ways. It doesn't need to be a big deep journey to meditation. In fact, I tend to do little 10-15 minutes throughout the day, particularly if I'm feeling a wee bit overwhelmed and tired. Rather than go for a nap, I would much prefer 20 minutes, half an hour of meditation, but it can go down to 10 minutes or 5 minutes if that's all the time I've got. So find a way of switching off your brain through some type of meditation, and it will really help you in the course of the day. Smudge regularly. If you don't know what smudging is, then you need to learn, because it's the thing that I think has saved me as an empath. It's a way to cleanse negative energy in places and in your own aura. Again, I've got a video, how to smudge and dispel negative energy, which I'm just going to link again in the description box, because you're better seeing how to do it, but those that know how to do it aren't really going to sit through it all again here. So please go to that video and find out how and why you should smudge. Number 9, lots of good unprocessed foods, fruit and veggies. When we're tired, when we're feeling, I'm done in, we will go for a quick fix, which is normally sugar. After readings, I had groups of psychics that worked for me at a time, and literally after we'd done our work, the Mars bars come out, cakes come out, scones come out, the fizzy juice come out, and it was just almost like trying to get something into you to ground you, to make you feel better. Now that's not good in a longer term. Once or twice, or if you need it, fair enough. Or if it's an emergency and you need to ground yourself or feel, then do have something that's dense or sugary or carbohydrate. But it's better if you generally prefer after, generally if you're working with your gift, it's better to come home and have a really nice, light, but very energetic and colourful meal. Something that doesn't really ground you too much. Because to be honest, you'll notice that a lot of clairvoyants and mediums out there are not that skinny. And I do believe it's because that they do their work and then they are exhausted and then they're needing to ground themselves, and they either hit the chocolate or the wine or crisps or whatever. So just be careful of that, okay? Try and eat lighter vibration foods, as such. Number 10, go into nature. Get your feet in the good grass and walk and feel the energy below your feet. Plant your feet in soil if you're really disorientated, even if it's a kid's sandbox, get your feet in it, get yourself grounded. Go a wee walk in the forest. If you can't walk very well, then even sit out in your garden and just look up at the sky, listen to the birds. Just get to nature, because nature is really is the antidote to the stress that comes with being an empath. Right, so I'm going to give you my wee playlist, and then my wee story. These are just my favourites. One of the very gentle songs that I love is I Will Find You by Clairvoyant. That's from the soundtrack of The Last of the Mohicans, which is a lovely soundtrack as well. Sacred Spirit, Chants and Dances of the Native Americans. This is particularly the first one. I think the rest of them that followed are good, but I think the first one is just brilliant. There's not a bad track on it, and it's just so very, even the very upbeat ones and whatever are, they just take you where you need to be. There's one that's not well known, and it's one of my favourite CDs at that point anyway, and anytime. It's called Under the Green Corn Moon, Native American Lullabies, and there's especially an Aztec lullaby that's called Tutu Te. And when I, have grandson and maybe nephews and nieces, they get a mixture of Turalula and Tutu Te. And I just love it. So if you want a taste of that, look for Tutu Te, Aztec Lullaby by Under the Green Corn Moon. But to be honest, all of them. And if you for any reason you've got the CD or whatever, it has what the words, the lyrics mean. And some of them are worse than our Rockabye Baby and Ring a Ring a Roses, which are very deep and disturbing lullabies to sing to a baby, but some of them in this are wildly as well. But that's the joy of them too. But the whole list of Under the Green Corn Moon, if you haven't got it, especially if you're a woman that's got a young child or is pregnant or is wanting lullabies, or a nana that wants lullabies, these are stunning. The soundtrack to Dances with Wolves, you can see a theme here, can't you? And the Return to Innocence, Enigma is beautiful. Now there's also a song that is, to me, is totally spiritual for the empath, and it's called Be, and it's from the soundtrack of Jonathan Livingston Seagull, Yes I Am That Old Hippie, by Neil Diamond. But the song there, it reprises itself throughout the soundtrack, but the first one with the full complete words in it, it's just like, it's almost as though he's put a prayer to music, and it's stunning. So they are my little bits, and I'd love you to add in the comments what you think you would add to that. And maybe if you haven't listened to any of these, give them a wee listen. So now, for the story. Many, many years ago, when I was working full time as clairvoyant and medium, I was aware that, obviously as an empath, I could really tune into the person that was sitting in front of me and would feel things. Now, I used to accept that as being fine because, to be honest, it made my practice very, very, very popular. Um, but to feel things in your own body can be sore. But I think maybe I enjoyed being right as well as being able to then help the person. So one time we had a cancellation that came in for the afternoon, and I thought, well, we'll not get anybody to take it that quickly. And then a phone call came in. It was a woman. She said, do you have appointments? And I said, well, actually, we've got one this afternoon. Can you make it? And she said, will I be out by X amount of time? And I was like, yes, she will. That's not a problem. She said, right, I'll take it. So when she came in, I sensed as I was putting the cards out that she was worried about her mum, and that her mum was a big worry for her, particularly today, that afternoon. So I said that to her, and she said, yes, that's right. And within a minute, no, a second, I felt the worst pain that I felt in my legs. I felt as though someone was taking knives up my calves and right up the way. And I honestly said, I'd never felt anything like it. It was awful. And I actually got up, staggered to the toilet and was sick. That's how bad the pain was. And when I came back, she was like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. She said, my mum's going through a vein stripping operation at the moment. That's why I needed to be out by a certain time to, check on her when she comes out and to, make sure she's okay, she said. But that's what's happening to her just now. And I said, well, your mum's fine, but I felt it without the anaesthetic, which I thought was a weird thing, that as an empath or a clairvoyant or both, that I jumped from the client to her mum and experienced what was happening to her, but that she wasn't actually awake for. And that one always kind of confused me because it was so spot on. The woman was in to get the stuff that I felt directly in my legs, like nails being brought at my legs, and oh, it was horrible. Now, I'd love not your advice, but your opinion on what that was. Was it just an intensely focused clairvoyance that went in and sensed what was happening, but not through the woman herself? Or was it an empathy, an empathic connection? But then the woman had been knocked out, she was under anaesthetic. So I'm still not sure about that one. I know what happened, and I know it was one of the most intense feelings I've had during a reading. But I'm not quite sure what it was, whether it was my clairvoyance or whether it was intensely focused, empathetic response. I don't know. What do you think of that? Tell me in the comments below, because I'd love to hear what you think of that and if you've had any similar experiences. So, if you like my channel, please support me by maybe buying my book, Dying to Live, or Memoirs of a Clairvoyant. Thumbs up, like, and subscribe, and all those things. And please hit the bell, because I do a lot in my community tab, and you won't get notification of that if you aren't belled in as such. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Please let me know and get involved, because it's a lovely community, and we all pass things back and forth, and I really enjoy hearing from you. So please leave your comments down below and I will get back to you. I always heart the messages because I look at them all, and sometimes if I've got the time or the energy, I'll reply in depth. So many blessings now. Enjoy.